lying. He's playing mind games. He's hoping his opponent's gonna underestimate him and he's gonna come back to bite him. We'll have to see how this works out, guys. In the top left spawn position here on this really big map, Whirlwind, the ladder edition, we have Druidz History, the Protoss player in red. He's gonna go up against, in the pink, in the bottom left, playing for Maegis. It is Next Future. He thought it was like one name is not good enough. I'm not gonna call myself Next. I'm not gonna call myself Future. No, I'm gonna name myself Next Future, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Next Future? What?
You know, if he named himself either only Next or Future, I like if somebody came up to me and asked me, "Hey, did you see how that new Zerg plays?" I'm like, "What Zerg?" "Next." I'm like, "Is he from KT Rolster?" Because like that's such a Korean nickname to have, either Next or Future. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think Future actually is a Korean pro gamer.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think there used to be a Xenex Future sometimes, so maybe that's why Next Future sounds so familiar. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's not get into too much detail as this game is starting to unfold. We have seen a very normal opening by Future, has gone spawning pool first into a hatchery, whereas History has done things a little bit different from the norm, but in a sense, it's all the same. He's gone for a Forge expand.
Yeah, he just opted to build his forge in base to be a little bit safer versus early pools like 6, 7, 8 pools, maybe even 10 pools, because this map is so huge that by the time, actually sometimes if you are so unlucky that you scout your opponent on the last possible location, a 6 pool is already hitting you and you don't even know it was a 6 pool. So because the Zerglings arrive before you can get to the 4th location. So yeah, very smart choice of build order there for History, and otherwise he's just going to be continuing as normal, walling off with the gateway, the core, getting double gas, getting gateway tech up, and is he going to check for the 3rd base? Okay, so this is a little bit
A little bit what?
a little bit weird because it's
Oh,
okay.
there you go.
Okay. The scouting pattern of the probe is what I'm talking about. It shows that History just does not feel his Zerg opponent all that too much, because whenever you play versus a Zerg, you have to think. When you're looking for the 3rd base on a map such as this, you have to think, which 3rd base would I take as a Zerg versus a Protoss? Obviously, the one that is further away from the Protoss base, not closer. That's why I was a little bit surprised that that probe went up to the 9 o'clock instead of the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the bottom to check for the 3rd base. But did find it in the end, and we have a Stargate for the Protoss on the way.
Yeah, it's a very normal play coming out of History here. He's not grabbed additional gases yet at his natural, which is, you know, making me think a little bit, what is his follow-up going to be? He's not going to go immediately into a Robo and into Immortals. There is a 3rd gas being taken and a 4th gas. Somewhat later than we would usually see, but not the biggest of deals.
Oh, actually, it's going to be a Void Ray. What? That's a... Okay, he has to make this work. I mean, Void Ray, that's a lot of investment. Gets killed by a variety of things that are really cheap to get for the Zerg. Queens being among them. You know, Phoenix is having a lot more versatility, usability, and protect you versus Hydralisks, none of which the Void Rays do. But seeing as the Zerg has a Roach Warren down, those Void Rays might come in handy as a defensive tool later on. We'll have to see. Lair almost being finished. Now this is the point where you usually see what the Zerg is, what the Zerg's plan for the game is, depending on what tech he ends up throwing down. So let us see.
Whoa, let us see. Look at History. He is risky, man. Dropping that 3rd base at the 8-minute mark. Wow, this guy is ballsy as hell. He's got 2 pylons, he's got 2 cannons there, has a Void Ray to help defend. But man, this is a ridiculously early third base. He's only on 2 gateways. He doesn't even have warp gates yet. There they go. They just now morph in. So he's got 2 gateways and a Stargate to defend his third base with, which is a very ballsy move. We see 2 additional Stargates and Protoss air weapons go down. This is what I'd like to see in a PvZ. Some risky plays, some Stargate plays, some air toss.
Oh my goodness, he's going to need a lot of cannons though. He is defended. Nice pullback on the drone. Very fast reaction time, pulling back those drones. And oh, those Zerglings were in hold position, not even going after those probes. Don't even get one.
Ooh.
Very nice play by the Druidz player history here. And I mean, we have the Hydrogen down. We're going into Hive Tech very shortly here with the infestation pit being put down. But Future has no idea about what history is going for here.
Yeah, he has no idea. That is going to be biting him a little bit. There's a lot of Void Rays coming out on the field. Void Rays and Phoenix going to be coming out now. We'll have to see when he feels confident going for the Fleet Beacon, because just Void Rays and Phoenix not that dangerous. You really need to mix in the Tempests to make this Skytoss army work out. So needs additional gases, needs his 5th and 6th gas at his third base to really invest into that Fleet Beacon.
Well, at least now we know why he was so risky and took the third base so quickly.
Yeah, a big gamble, and it is working out so far. Future does not seem to want to go and attack him. He's going to take a 4th base, attack up towards Hive, get additional upgrades, get the muscular augments upgrades for the Hydras, so they can be used offensively soon, but not quite yet.
Yeah, we have the Hive on the way as well. This is, I mean, the longer the next Future remains blind to his opponent's army composition, the worse it is going to be for him later on. And he's trying to run around with the lanes, trying to get a glimpse of a ground army, but so far he has not seen any ground army at all at the expansion. And Druidz is like keeping most of his units at the third, which serves 2 purposes: hides his army from spying eyes, and protects his third at the same time. Even hallucinating a Void Ray. What the hell? Must have been a misclick. But yeah, I think the moment he sees Hydras, he's going to put down a Fleet Beacon and start making carriers.
Yeah, carriers and Tempests, of course, gonna be... I mean, I think Tempests are more likely. Carriers, of course, pretty good versus Hydras, but carriers take so long to come out onto the field, and they're not useful in 1 or 2. Yeah, like 1 or 2 carriers is not going to make a difference. You're really going to need 4, 5, 6 carriers to be able to take those Hydras out, because Hydras have an insane amount of DPS, and they take out the interceptors pretty quickly. So we're going to have to see, is History going to take a risk? No, he's not. He still does not have a Fleet Beacon, which is pretty late in the game. Maybe he's not even going to try to go for that. What are you thinking, Bell?
I'm really confused right now, because as far as air upgrades, we have +1 finish. We don't have +2. I mean +1 armor going down for the air. I'm really confused as to what his plan here is. He's definitely not thinking carriers though, because he would be getting the armor for them really quickly. There goes a recall into the natural from the third. Nice force fields going down, trapping half of those Hydras, and now Future knows what is up. He saw those Void Rays, and let us see if he... Okay, double Spire even going down upon seeing that, and well, he's going to need to flood so many Corruptors. I wouldn't even be surprised if he went into Infestors at this point, because I don't know, like, Fungal is a projectile, true, but is still pretty darn useful versus air.
It is. It is. But I've seen a lot of Zerg players crumble to air toss play if they don't deal with it in the early or mid game. Yeah. When you get to the late game and you've got 20 Void Rays, 5 Tempests, and 5 carriers as an army composition, what does Zerg really have that beats that upright? Not much. So we see Future once again pushing in. He wants to do damage. He wants to cripple the Protoss player in the mid game, because he knows he's going to have a very tough time in late game. Kills off the Cybernetics core there. That's a nice pick off. But all his Hydras, no, not all of them, but most of them get trapped. And once again, History is going to take a very cost-effective trade here.
Yeah, he is. He killed off the Hydras yet again, and you know, I was almost thinking that a Maegis player would try to move those Hydras to the corner, to the left side, and just try to get the Nexus, just try to snipe it in exchange for the army, because it's not like he can kill so many Void Rays with just Hydras. It's just not going to work. And well, we have a Twilight Council built, we have Temple Archives on the way for Protoss, and once he gets Storm, this army will just be unstoppable. There will be literally nothing the Zerg can do to kill it with.
It's right, the Zerg. What is he going to do now? He is moving out. I'm not really sure what he's hoping to do here. He has the same army composition he did last time. It's only less big. And he's going to run himself into this big wall of Protoss again. There's so many sentries. There's going to be force fields. There's going to be Guardian shields. There's going to be Void Rays using prismatic alignment and doing so much damage to the Hydras. And the upgrades for the Protoss army just keep on getting better and better. The Void Rays now at 1-1, and they will soon be at 2... at 1-2-1.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, the Hydras come in yet again while the Roaches are harassing the third base. There have been some Stalkers warped in to help deal with that. Not enough. Will require more warp-ins. But, you know, do we actually have charge finished? No, we don't. That would be a really cool thing to see, to go for charge, because with this composition as a Protoss, you always have surplus of minerals, a great one at that, and you're starving for gas. You don't really want to be warping sentries, you don't want to be warping Stalkers. No. You want to be using your gas for your air units, upgrades, and HCs. So, as a result, building a lot of cannons, a lot of gates, and a lot of Zealots is a really good option. And Zealots, mind you, when they make contact with the Hydras, they're pretty good. And, well, Ultralisks are not the best of choices to combat air units, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that's a little bit weird. The Ultra is doing a lot of damage though. It's been able to get 5 kills, so has been worth it a little bit that the Void Rays go uncontested in the air. History is doing extremely well. Future has been able to take out pretty much the entire Protoss ground army, but the rest of the flying army, he still needs to find a way to deal with that. And there, finally, we see the Fleet Beacon. I would have liked to see that a little bit earlier. I would have liked to see a few carrier/tempests out on the field by now, but it looks like he just now feels comfortable going for it. Since he's on 4 bases, he's got a lot of gas income, 8 gas guys who's mining gas.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of gas. Now, speaking of number of bases, the Zerg player is on quite a number of hatcheries himself, even though this bottom right is not mining, does not even have gases there. We have 6 bases potentially here. Of course, the mains are getting mined out, so both of these players will be on 3 and 4 base economy respectively. And I think it's getting very, very close to the time where the Protoss just will attack and sweep. Just sweep is what I'm gonna call it.
Yeah, he's gonna run over that army in a ridiculous way. With Fleet Beacon is now finished up, but he is still not producing anything else other than Void Rays. He's just, you know, oh, he is getting... Did he just get Anion Pulse Crystals, or what? Did he misclick that? Oh, he clicked Anion Pulse Crystals and then
cancel, and he's getting Graviton Catapult to be able to...
I was so confused there for a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's like no Phoenix in his army composition, is there? Maybe one Lost Phoenix? No, there's none. Nope.
Lost Phoenix? Are you trying to be to make up a competition for the Lost Viking game?
Lost Viking versus Lost Phoenix. I think the Lost Viking... Does a Viking win 1v1 against the Phoenix? I think it does, right?
I think it does, yeah. Would be funny.
So if the Lost Viking runs into the Lost Phoenix, we all know who's going to come out ahead.
Yep. Nice unit placement by History, by the way, leaving 1 Stalker here to watch this ramp so that he does not get surrounded or counterattacked unless he knows about it. And getting more bases even. And what's really interesting is, look at the probe count of the Protoss. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, that is overkill. 95?
It's almost like I'm watching minigun play.
Oh man, 95? That's a little bit too much. We see an engagement in the middle of the map. The Void Rays are all charged up, but there are a lot of Queens and Hydras here. I think this might be History slightly overextending his Void Rays. Prismatic alignment is about to run out. There are some more Hydras in the back, and now they're going to be joining in. Is there enough ground support? Is there enough Zealots to soak up some damage? Looks like there is not. The Void Ray is going to be falling back to their cannons. The Charge Lord's going to be charging in. The Ultralisk have a lot of armor. They have 4 armor, so they can tank a lot of damage before they go down.
Yeah, I think like not enough Storm was here. It's I mean, there's still a lot of Hydras. Okay, now they all go down, and those Queens should be retreating here. They cannot hope to hold out much longer, and there are even feedbacks going down to limit the possibility of transfusions. And this base for history has gone up after all that was happening. And wow, Future continuing his attack with every single Hydra reinforcements. I think he's got the right idea, but he needs to pick off those Templars because, you know, as long as there is no Storm, every single wave of these Hydras is going to kill some of those Void Rays, and we only have 3 Stargates up. We don't have 4, we don't have 6 Stargates. There's not that much reinforcing power on the Protoss side as it is on the Zerg side, and the Zerg has got a bigger bank.
Yeah, I think the Zerg will be able to do it. He's just going to be reinforcing. Archon's now morphing in, and they will be able to stop this wave for now. You have to keep in mind that Protoss has an insane amount of bases. He's on 5 bases.
Yeah.
The Zerg pretty much on 5 bases too. So as long as the Protoss stays alive, he should be all right if he maintains his cost efficiency. That is, he needs those storms so badly. Bell, I agree with you. 1 or 2 storms in that battle could have made all the difference.
Oh my goodness, a lot of probes have just been killed on the transfer to the 5th base. That's good for the Zerg, and good for the Protoss as well, because he had quite a lot of them.
He still has 88.
Yeah. So it's like he lost 7 probes or 8 or so there. But still has too many probes. Alright, so now we do have enough energy for the storms, and these the Druidz player is still morphing in, warping in High Templars. He's gonna have a lot of storms, and I really have to say that I'm missing Infestors from this army composition a lot by the Zerg. Those would have helped out tremendously versus both the Templars and the Air Army.
And Future now pushing in, killing that 5th base of Protoss, but he might get himself in a difficult position. Is he going to be able to retreat from here? We do have a lot of High Templar now out on the field, and they all have storms available. The Queens, of course, caught off creep, and I think we're going to have to see Future fight here, because if he doesn't, he's going to lose all his Queens, and that would be a bad situation. The Storm doesn't really hit much there, mostly air, hits a few of the Hydras. The Void Ray is now going to be coming up, but there's not that many of them. There's only 6 Void Rays in this army composition, but there are some more Storms left. The Hydras will be able to get out alive. A lot of Queens were lost, though.
I just don't know why he's not Oh, 21 Corruptors? This is a little bit after the... no, it's like, first it's an overkill, and it's a little bit after the fact, because as it is right now, we only have 6 Void Rays with this army, and the majority is comprised of Zealots, Archons, and High Templars, so unless we have a Greater Spire already done, which we don't, then this is... yeah, he just really wants to get rid of those Void Rays. And, you know, then he will have to get rid of those Corruptors somehow, because that will not leave him enough food. Even though he does have the money, he does have the larva, but that will not leave him without, with any food to deal with the ground army. And, you know, I think the Zerg might bring it back, despite everything. He might still win this game.
Yeah, I think he's still in an alright position, but he definitely overproduced Corruptors there, but they are going to take out those Void Rays in a matter of seconds. We see some Storms going down, trying to hit the Hydras, but they're not really managing to do that. The Archons are doing some good splash damage versus the Corruptors. The Void Rays actually standing their ground pretty well here. Better than I expected. The 21 Corruptors have already evaporated. This is looking quite good for history. He is pushing through here. The reinforcements are coming in, though. 13 Roaches, but are 23 Roaches now. Are they going to be able to make the difference? It's going to be difficult. Do we have any Storms left? No Storms are left in store. Just Archons, Zealots, and Void Rays at this point. Stalkers and Zealots coming in to reinforce. History is pushing next Future back.
I think just standing on top of that Archon splash damage with those Corruptors did not help Maegis' cause at all. I know I'm making a little bit of a joke here, but you know, it really... but still astonishing how 22 Corruptors can just disappear and the Void Rays still left standing. I'm really shocked.
Yeah, those Archons underneath really doing all the work there. Hydra's now mis-rallying, getting taken out. Will the Zerg be able to get together another big force? Because that's exactly what he needs. Is Future actually going to retreat here? I'm not entirely sure about this decision. He had the momentum going, he had all his units together, and now he's falling back. More Roaches and Hydras going to be coming in there. The Archons do have +3 shields, so they take a long time to kill. The Void Rays in the air still doing some damage. Storms occasionally hitting well, and next Future is now almost out of his bank. He's got 18 Roaches, and he's got a lot of Hydras out on the field. 18 Roaches, 16 Hydras. That's going to be his army composition, but his bank is pretty much gone, Bell.
Yeah, it is, and he really needs to... How many workers does he have? 79. He really needs to transfer some of those workers to the newer bases or saturate them a little bit better, because there is a... Well, he's doing the best job he can, as far as I can see, with the distribution of drones, but still does not have enough income almost. That is really weird. It's just those units dying so fast, and even though the history does not have any ground upgrades, he's got those shields, so it's taking a long time to kill those Archons. Beautiful storms going down on half the Hydras. Morphing into Archons immediately after that. We have a War Prism for reinforcement here, and it's not even being... Oh, it might go down. 3 points of health remaining, but the Zealots are protecting it from the Hydras. Oh wow, that War Prism stays alive and allows for further reinforcements of this push. What a game we're seeing here, Lorlian.
This is ridiculously close, guys. There is continued Roach production on the side of Next Future, whereas History is trying to keep his army composition going. He has been gradually losing his Void Rays, though. That's important to point out. He only has 1 Void Ray left in the air. And, of course, that single War Prism is flying around somewhere. Here comes another attack. Not really sure what he's trying to snipe here. Maybe a few High Templar. Does force a few Archons to be morphed in. And Roach is, of course, really good against Zealot Archon. They can just count back. A few Hydras now going to be joining in the army composition, too. This game is ridiculously close.
Yeah, it is, and I have to say, nice micro by Next Future. He's the way he's kept the Roaches back and maintained the concave, the formation the whole time. That was just very, very nicely to watch. But ultimately, those Roaches may go down, but at the same time, all that we have remaining here is Zealot Archon, 1 Void Ray that did a ton of damage. I have to say, it's like that's a master rank Void Ray with 18 kills. Not something you see very often unless the Void Ray manages to kill 18 Zerglings trapped between a force field and a wall. And, well, this base, I don't know, it might go down. There are only 2 pylons powering these cannons and they're going down very quickly. I don't think that army will get there in time. He might get this Nexus.
He might. Has to be careful, though. Cannot afford to lose an entire... There's no storms in this army. I think the Zerg... Is he finally going to be able to do this? Zealots coming from the front, Zealots coming from the back. This army will get taken out, but they are trading somewhat cost efficiently. I have to keep in mind the Zerg is mining way more. If we open the income tab, you can really see that happening there. The Zerg is just mining too much, and I think in the long run, History, he doesn't have... He's been on Zealot Archon for pretty much 10 minutes now, and he has no super late game follow-up. But neither does Future. We're like watching a mid-game army composition go at each other in the late game.
Yeah, it's like both of these players are just stuck in a mindset of, oh my god, this game is so close, I have to keep up with production to win it. That's the only way I can win it. Whereas, you know, some other players would go, what's his weak point right now? What tech do I have so I can switch into a different composition to counteract what he's doing? And we're not seeing that. We're just seeing both of these players just trying to max out as quickly as possible, re-max more like. And there goes the Burrow. We've had the Burrow in play for the majority of the game, surprisingly enough, but only now it's being used to regenerate the health on those Roaches. Just showing that when you're in dire straits, you use every available tool, but when you're doing good, you're just, nah. It's okay. Don't need to do that.
You're right there. He's getting the Pneumatized Carapace upgrade and Ventral Sacs. It's going to try to maybe drop all over that army. We have additional Void Rays being produced, so the Void Ray count is going to start to get up there again. Do we have any Storms No, we don't. That one High Templar in there gets taken out, and this is a perfect position for next future. I think this might be the move that finally closes out this game, that wins in this game. The Concave, just incredibly good for future. The Void Rays are not gonna be enough to turn the tide of this battle. There's too many Hydras left. The Queen is doing some DPS, and history finally gonna be forced to GG out as Maegis once again ties the series up 2-2. And we've got ourselves an ace match, don't we?
Yes, we do, and what a game that was.